Hey guys, today I'm reviewing three knives that look a lot alike, and that's because they're copies or look-alike Spyderco Paramilitary 2. So one, it's a clone of the Spyderco that I got from Aliexpress, and the other two are Ganzos look-alike, and so the liner lock version is the G730 and the axis lock version is the G729. Okay, so let me start with the Ganzos first. Okay, so at first I got the liner lock version, and that's because, like, personally I just like the liner locks. I find them easier to, close the knife with one hand. I don't know, some people prefer the axis lock. I find the liner lock just to suit me just fine. So for the G730 I got the G10 handle with the extra texture on it. Some people were complaining that he makes it too rough on the hand. Me personally, I have no problem with it. I kind of like it. The blade is well centered, and the overall quality of the knife is pretty good and typical for the Ganzo, I would say. So that's for this one. The G729, so is the axis lock. I got this one later on, and I'll explain why. So, again, same thing. It looks like the Para 2, except an axis lock version, and again, standard quality for Ganzo. So overall, I'm happy with the knives. Well, just a quick thing. So this one I didn't get the texture one. I got just a regular G10, and it's just like all the other Ganzos. Nothing special about it. I decided to go with the DG Camo. That's my first knife that looks like, this texture, like this pattern, and it's okay. Not my favorite, but try something different. Okay, so I first got the liner lock, and the knife overall is fine, and I know it doesn't affect the functionality, but I don't know, like you've seen in my other videos, I just like my knives to flick open pretty nicely. And the problem that I have with actually both Ganzos is that I wasn't able to get them to flip properly without having a bit of blade play at the pivot, and that is both for the liner lock and the axis lock. If I tied the pivot screw enough to no longer have blade play, then I just can't flip the knife. So I tried to find a happy medium, and right now it doesn't flick perfectly, but just enough for me to be able to flick it most of the time, and to keep, well, actually the blade play right now is actually okay. I guess I must have tightened it up recently. So I got the liner lock, and then I wasn't happy about it because I kept on having this blade play. I went, okay, let me try the axis lock, and when I got this one, basically the same thing happened. The pivot screw was very tight. I wasn't able to flick the knife properly. I had to undo a bit the pivot screw to be able to flick the knife, which created a tiny bit of blade play. Not much, because I tried to find a happy medium, but there's still a little bit. About the axis version, same thing. I don't know what's up with Ganzos. They put their spring extremely tight, and it's a shame because they've proven that they're able to do it properly in some of their knives. Like, I have a couple of them that are just fine, but most of them, they're just very hard to push. It gets better with the use, but still, like, they should make it a bit softer on the hands. It's still quite stiff. I know some of the guys that just take it apart and modify a bit the shape of the omega spring to release a bit some of the tension, but I don't want to be bothered by that. So I can most of the time I can flip it fine from the top, fine from the index, and with the axis lock as well. Can't really do it properly on camera, but it's okay. It's not my best flicker at all, but it does fine. I have some other ones that are just smoother, like the Ontario Rats copy, for example. It just opens and closes much better, or the G717. It's one of my best axis locks that I have. Now, I find that the pair are lookalikes. They're very comfortable in hand, and the blade shape I really like. I find it very useful. So I can't really, afford a real Spyderco one. So I decided to get a clone from Gearbest, from Aliexpress, just to give a try to basically the compression lock. That is the main point of the real Spyderco. Okay, first, overall quality of the copy. Let me say that there's different price ranges for the copies, and basically, since both of the Ganzos cost me about 15 bucks, I got the cheapest copy that I could find that was also 15 bucks. So I'm comparing basically knives that cost me the same price. For 15 bucks, I would say like the quality is okay. It's not perfect. I don't know if we can see on the camera, but the blade is not perfectly centered. Again, same thing, a tiny bit of blade play, so not perfect, but it's okay to give me a sense of what the real Spyderco would be like. And so, like I said, what I wanted to try was this compression lock. Personally, what can I say? There are some things that I like and some things that I don't. One thing that I like about the compression lock is that since the lock is here on the top, that allows to have some very thin liners, which makes the overall weight of the knife much lighter than the Ganzos. So that I like. The knife is very light. The compression lock system on itself is okay. One thing I don't understand though is it looks to me like this knife would be better suited for a left-handed person. So I'm right-handed, but so for example, the person opens with the left hand, he can just press with the thumb and close it. It's just a bit unnatural for a right-handed person, it looks like. So I open the knife. If the compression would be on this side, I could just press and close. Instead of doing that, I have to move the knife, press with my index, and then close the blade. So the system is okay. I think I just don't understand why it's not on the other side. I think it would be more natural for me. So here you go, guys. So a clone with the compression lock. Ganzo makes a liner lock version, which is the G730, and also an axis lock version, which is the G729. So all three knives cost me about 15 bucks each. I like the clone because the knife is lighter and it's just like the compression lock is something different that you don't see on other knives. If I would have to rate the overall build quality, I think the Ganzo ones feel a little bit more solid than this one. And also, like, if Ganzo says the blade is 440C, I can trust that it's 440C. The clone, they just copied like whatever Spyderco had, which is like the CMPS30V, which there's no way it is. I know it's not. Probably like a Move 13 or something like that, but there's no way to know what kind of steel we have here. Which, it doesn't really bother me. I just bought the knife for the look and the shape of it, and to have an opinion on the compression lock. So here you go, guys. Hope you enjoyed the review.